You put a Queensland jersey on Dane Gagai and he finds a way to score a try.
Cam Munster, he's going to be the one to watch.
He deserves a try.
Even though he's only young, he's such a big name, he's such a promising star.
Well, we've seen plenty of this in Origin. This is one of the best. McCartney will score. And Queensland celebrates. He smashed. That's a brilliant rugby league try.
Chip chase anyway? No? Something different, mix it up.
Pride is a wonderful thing for a footballer.
Hello and welcome to Queenslander, where we find ourselves in a very different NRL competition while under the increased COVID restrictions here in the Sunshine State. Want to take your mind back, first of all, to Saturday. Announcement, games cancelled in the NRL, potentially the entire round postponed. What was your reaction to that?
Oh, sheer panic, Adam, I've got to say. I thought, oh no, here's a weekend without footy.
Yep.
We're sort of stuck in the middle of Brisbane. We can't do too many things, but not to be able to switch the telly on and watch the footy at any stage, that made it the toughest weekend of all. And I'm sure that there were plenty of NRL fans right throughout the state here, particularly in the southeast zone, that were panicking about not being able to see any footy if they had the opportunity to go and look at it.
Now, I guess the Cowboys would have liked for the round to be postponed the way they finished against the Broncos, but that was the last game we actually got a crowd. I think it was about 35,000. You were there, wonderful atmosphere. Yeah. Your thoughts on that Queensland derby? It didn't disappoint again. No, they never do, Adam. I know you and I talk about this all the time. Every time that we get one where we have the two teams that seem to assume a bit of a dislike for each other. Yep. Consistently in the build-up to the game, to the last words, when the kick-off takes place, they'll show that they don't like each other. Come full time, we'll then find they're Queenslanders and they get the opportunity to be able to talk about it, and the bragging rights have already taken place. But they are the games that I think that a lot of Queenslanders look forward to as much as any other game short of the finals or State of Origin series. There is a fair bit of pride associated with each and every one of those games, and we've seen some wonderful performances over the years in just these club competition games where they just seem to produce their best performance of the whole year. And your thoughts on that game in particular? Broncos, probably their best performance of the year, the most points they've scored in a match all year. Tyson Gamble, a few of the other guys really stood up.
Yeah, they certainly did. That was a great performance from a lot of the Broncos players that, they've been under a little bit of criticism over their recent performances. Tyson Gamble, well, he's a guy that I've taken a special liking to, kept him under the eye, being a former 5'8". Just have a look at what he does. And I think
he's as annoying as you were as a former 5'8" as well, too.
Oh, that's very nice, Adam. That's very nice indeed.
Effective. You're effective, but annoying.
I've got to say, if he is annoying, well, he's doing his job. He's getting out there, he's making the best of it. The way that he was able to dictate terms in a little bit of a smaller fashion to what I think that we will be seeing him do in the weeks or months to come would be quite impressive. He just seems to be increasing in confidence week after week, and I think the biggest problem for a lot of players, particularly if they're in the playmaking role, is that they're not having consistency in the players that are around them. They're finding that they've got to change their game week after week to adapt to somebody else being the intended ball receiver. So that can be distressing at times, but I think that he is going ahead, and he really does appear to have a big smile on his face at the end of each game, particularly when you and I go to the training sessions and have a look at him. He seems plenty more self-confident, that he's fitting in quite comfortably there, and I think if he continues at this rate, he'll be putting in great performances and will be the backbone of the Broncos side in the years to come.
So you keep him there. Adam Reynolds comes next year, plays halfback. You stick with Gamble in number 6? Yeah,
well, it's a matter of who else we're going to play at the number 6. There could be a couple of guys that would fit in there, but I think that Gamble, if he continues to improve at the rate which he has been over the last couple of games, I think the coach would be pretty comfortable with having him there, and in particular, he'd have a fairly handy halfback on the inside, and I say that without being disrespectful to the current number 7, but there are opportunities to come, and I think Gamble is going ahead in leaps and bounds.
And there's talk Tony Staggs might play 5'8" next year. Won't play again this year after suffering a knee injury. Yeah. Bit of a massive loss for the Broncos because he's been outstanding since he returned from that knee surgery. Yep. But it's another knee injury, same knee. It's the MCL, so it's the inside, not the outside, the ACL, which was devastating last time. Is that a concern, so many knee injuries in a short space of time, or just bad luck?
Well, there's not much you can do about it, Adam. There's knee injuries come along. There's a whole pile of them one year. You might get one or two the next, and no real serious ones. But Staggs, he is one of the ones that we have to put in the serious category there. He's a guy that adds so much confidence to a lot of the teammates alongside him in a game, and I like watching him play. He's got plenty of aggression in him. He's a big, strong ball carrier, and he just makes those, particularly the more inexperienced players in the back line, feel much more comfortable. So to have him come up with such a serious injury is not what the Broncos ordered.
Yeah, and speaking of those young players who benefit for having Katoni Staggs, there's talking to Jordan Ricky. He really likes the fact he defends on the edge. Katoni talks to him a lot. Jordan Ricky was actually man of the match, voted by the Broncos for that win over the Cowboys on the weekend. What do you like about his game? And it almost seems him being dropped midway through the season has lit a fire in his belly.
Yeah, he didn't like it, and not too many people do when they were dropped. I got dropped out of an Australian side, so I know exactly how it
New
feels.
South Wales selectors. Yeah.
Thanks for throwing petrol on the fire, Adam. That's very good. But you always take that into your mind. You think, what did I do wrong? How can I fix it? What are the things that I can do to impress the coach? The best possible things he can do are the same sort of things that gained him selection in the first place. Come up, just simply produce the form that he puts in, the effort that he puts in each week, and if it's good enough for the coach, well, he'll certainly put him there. If it doesn't, well, it will further inspire him. It's no fun at all getting dropped, but it can be, upon some occasions, the biggest benefit of your career. It will make you have that will to win and that need to be there to be even stronger than it ever was.
He's got a serious set of guns on him too, if you see him at training. I wish I had his biceps. About 1,000 times bigger than mine. But post-match, Brodie Croft, the halfback for the Broncos, did an interview with Channel 9 on Wide World of Sports. He said training at the moment is about 80% defence and 20% attack. Do you like that mindset? Because clearly that was the area they had to work on.
Yeah, look, the coach is in charge of that, and what he sees as the necessary part of training has got to be put in play. 80% defence, yeah, well, I guess it comes in with many people, but they've also got to remember that their attacking players, they've got to score points. They might be able to stop the opposition, but they've also got to score some to take part in the end result. Fine, I can see that. He probably doesn't want to be critical of the man in charge of the training sessions, but I was a bit of an old fan of 50-50. Half attack, half defence. You've got to be able to score some points when you get out there. You've got to be able to have those attacking plays that will make you feel much more comfortable and confident, and particularly your defence. You can never, ever sidestep that. That's got to be taken into play and given enormous respect for its part in the game. But I do think that it's got to be an enjoyable training session where you cover all aspects of the game.
I remember you telling me once when you used to train for the attack, if someone dropped a ball or knocked on a forward pass, it'd be a lap around the oval or several?
Yeah, a couple of laps. You go around doing it. It tends to increase your ball security a lot when you're as lazy as what I was in that training session. So it was a case of having full respect for the footy because you get into some games, and I'm sure you remember some of those. I remember playing in some Origin games and some opportunities to be able to take part in a pressure situation where there just weren't any mistakes. I think there was like 3 or 4 mistakes for the whole game, and to take part in a match like that when you're against the talent and the great talent that you have opposite you, you just can't afford to provide them with opportunities. It sounds a little bit easier than what it actually is, but I think when you've got total respect for the football and the possession in mind, you will go out there and you'll produce your best performances. There may be a couple. You're never going to be able to stop mistakes totally, according to many coaches, but they will insist that you show total ball respect whilst you're at the training sessions as well, and that doesn't always happen, but it is something that you've got to take a serious approach to each and every one.
Now, for the Cowboys now, I think that's 7 losses in a row, although they're only about 4 points outside the top 8, so there's still a mathematical chance, but do you think they're essentially out of the finals race now after losing that?
Oh, I think they're going to do it pretty tough from here. They're certainly going to have a little bit of an issue. They do have a bit of a benefit in that they won't be travelling too far around by the sounds of things. So I'm sure that they'll be able to play a little bit better than they have. There is a necessary requirement there that they do produce much better performances than we've seen, particularly in the recent couple of weeks. But I think that they've proven before, and that's the hardest part, Adam, is that they've shown previously that they're capable of beating some of the best teams in the competition.
They nearly beat Melbourne 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Which was extraordinary, and undoubtedly their best of what I thought was their best of the year. Not too many teams can do that, so they've just got to take a trip down memory lane and recall what it was about that game against Melbourne. What did I do that was extra that I normally wouldn't do in a game? How can I inspire my teammates to produce that? And how can we each and every one of us feel a part of this team that relies upon each other? Simple questions to answer. They're not always easy to put into place, but if they can do it, as they did for that Melbourne game, which was fantastic. I probably regard it as the best performance I've seen from them over the last couple of years, not last couple of matches.
Yeah, and the Cowboys get another Queensland derby this weekend against the Titans. They don't win that one. You can put the red ink, the black ink, what do you want to do through the Cowboys. They won't make the finals unless they beat the Titans this weekend to keep their hopes alive. But Todd Payten said in the fallout to that match, his players had a lack of desire. How alarming is that, and how hard is that to fix with just over a month or so to go?
Well, that's a nice way of saying you blokes weren't trying.
Yep.
A lack of desire. If you go out onto the footy field with a lack of desire, Adam, I quite confidently would say that you deserve to get the biggest kick up the backside, get off, have a couple of weeks on the sideline. You come back when you've got that will to win, that need to succeed on the football field. If you're having trouble with your attitude, well, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And a big turning point of that game, one of my favourite players, Kyle Feldt, almost got his second try. Controversial decision. There was a slight bit of separation, but I still think it's a try. I think he still had control of it because the ball's bouncing like that. Unless you've got super glue on the bottom of your hand, you're not going to completely have the closeness of having no separation there. How big a turning point was that? And also, if you have the split screen of the first try in the Manly game over the Sharks, Jason Saab's try, he has less control than Kyle Feldt, and that's a try. NRL, explain that to us. What were your thoughts on that, Walt?
Well, we've had a look at this on a number of occasions. We've agreed every single time that one try was worse than the other, yet the one that was worse actually got given the try. And it absolutely stunned me. I thought, how can you come up with a decision? Admittedly, different people in different places, they don't push the same button, but it just confuses people. And if you want to know why a lot of the rugby league players blow up on the field and scream abuse at the referees and have complete confusion, it's that they don't have the same decision for an almost identical situation. And that one that we're talking about there, we sat there and we've looked at it so many times, yet we just cannot come up with reasoning why that was not a try. I'm gobsmacked. The only person that can describe it would be the video referee, and for him to come forward and just say, now this is it, and I do think that this one is a definite try, and that one, well, that was a different referee or man in charge that was making the decision there. But as to why that wasn't given a try, I'll keep arguing until the cows come home.
Yeah, I'm a biased Cowboys fan. I would have loved to see that be a try. Make it, I think it was 28-24, would have been another grandstand finish. But essentially our last remaining hope of playing finals football here in Queensland, the Gold Coast Titans, impressive win over the Bulldogs, more so the defensive effort. That's what they needed to improve on, and they held the Bulldogs to one try, and it was one late, cheap try to Canterbury as well. Yeah,
that's right. I thought that was probably their most impressive feature of the whole game. They produced some pretty good attack. They got quite creative. They were running the ball around. There were some good guys in charge of their attacking raids, but it was the desperation that they showed in defence, and to be able to get there and restrict them, particularly when it was so close to full time, I think that would have brought a huge smile to the coach's face. face. He would have known that they went out there with full intention to succeed. And I know that, when it was a pushover from dummy half, when it was scored from just a metre or half a metre away, and he just got there, and there was a little bit of controversy about that one too, he would have felt pretty good about his players. Now, without being insulting to the Bulldogs, who haven't set the world on fire this year, they didn't produce the most effective attack, which would have tested the defence of the Titans, no doubt. But they still had a go. They didn't give up, and they kept going. So you've only got to give the Titans, 10 out of 10 for effort in that game. And I think it's another one that certainly would have impressed their coach, who seems to be getting on extremely well with them. Haven't heard anything about any disruption, any dislike in the club at all. He makes sure that everybody's happy there and they perform well on the field week in, week out.
And Ash Taylor, always a bit of a conundrum for the Titans. He's hot, he's cold, he's hot, he's cold. He was red hot against the Bulldogs in that game. Kicked a 40-20 early to give them the momentum. Had a try assist off another kick, scored a try himself. What do you make of his game?
Playing at 5'8". Seems to be going okay. Maybe that's his position. Certainly at the moment, he's been asked to produce his best, and he did that. That was a wonderful performance. I thought his creativity in attack was quite good. His ability to be able to act particularly on one side of the field rather than the other. I think he's much stronger when he's passing, as most people are, from right to left. But it was his performance throughout the team. The only thing that I probably can't rate him on was his talk on the field. Can't hear anything really when we're watching it on TV. Didn't get to see it, so was unaware of how that was. But I'd love to be able to see just what sort of talk he's involved in. But certainly his play and his ability to take part, that was his best performance of the year. There's no doubt about that whatsoever.
Do you think he could convince Justin Holbrook the last few weeks to re-sign him? Because they've already got Fogarty re-signed for next year. That young Toby Sexton, who's won 2 from 2 since making his debut against the Dragons, he's re-signed till 2023. Is there enough room, or is it just maybe Ash Taylor goes to another club, he reinvigorates himself?
Well, he could do, I guess, Adam, but I probably think that perhaps he will be kept on the Gold Coast. When you've got three very good players jockeying for 2 positions, usually they're producing their best week in, week out to try and guarantee that they will get that spot. At worst, be coming off the bench. I know certainly starting on the bench doesn't please everybody, but certainly there is a fair bit of talent there that will please the coach. And whilst they are jockeying for those positions, I'm sure the coach has got a big smile.
Well, Wal, thanks for your time here in lockdown. Hopefully we get Lockie and Sam Thaiday back off the bench next week when these restrictions ease. But another big round for our Queensland teams. The Broncos in action against Kalen Ponga and his Knights. And, of course, as we mentioned, the Titans and Cowboys. For all your action, stay tuned. Wide World of Sports, your home of rugby league action here in Queensland.